It had been almost a year since Walter graduated from a Mesa, Arizona high school. On a warm April evening, after spending months pondering if he was ready to make the leap to being the first person in his family to go to college, Walter knew he was tired of driving past Mesa Community College's Southern and Dobson campus and imagining what goals he could accomplish. He was ready to take the first step in becoming a first-generation college student at Mesa Community College. Walter woke up on a Monday morning at 7 a.m. with a big smile and a lot of questions about where to begin. He grabbed his wallet and car keys on his way out the door to start the next chapter in his life. He drove to the east side of the campus and turned on Enrollment Way. Walter was excited, scared, and ready for what Mesa had to offer.
Hi, how can I assist you today?
Hi, I'm a bit lost. I want to enroll into college and don't know where to begin.
Are you new to college?
Yes, this is my first time.
Okay, well, congratulations. If you step to the right, we have a new student welcome room where we have staff members that can help you review the process and get you started on enrollment.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.
In the new student welcome room, Walter was again greeted by a smiling face and was able to gather a blueprint of what steps were needed to officially become a student at MCC. He was handed an enrollment step sheet by the specialist.
Once you fill out these two forms, we can get you in line at the front counter to process these documents. The first document is your application to the college, or SIF form, and the second form is to provide information to see if you qualify for in-state tuition. We can make a copy of your ID here and collect the application, but you will need to turn in the form at the front counter to ensure your tuition is correct. We put you in line virtually, and you'll receive text messages on your cell phone to know when it's your turn. What's your phone number so I can put you in line?
480-555-5555.
Great. You'll receive a text message in just a few moments telling you which area of the front counter to go to. They're labeled in the front with numbers 1 through 15. It may be a few minutes before you're called, but you can see how many people are in front of you by watching the TV monitors.
Sounds good.
Walter got the text message that he was in line and then waited in a big open area until he got another text saying that he had been summoned to a station. He also saw his name at the top of the TV monitors. He was surprised to see that he was summoned to a station already. He hadn't finished filling out the form yet. Once he completed the forms, he gave the declaration form to the smiling specialist. The specialist asked for the copy of his ID to attach to the form. The specialist confirmed that Walter was set for in-state tuition. Walter went back to the new student room to find out what to do next.
Hi Walter, let me walk you through how to set up an account. The most efficient ways online is you can get your username, which we sometimes call your MEID, you can set your password, fill out the admissions application, and you can even update your personal information to ensure that you're getting charged the correct tuition amount by taking a picture of your ID and uploading it. So go ahead and click on admissions.maricopa.edu, and then you're going to click on Start a New Application. If you get stuck on anything, I'll be walking around to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you so much.
The first step, getting admitted, applying was actually pretty easy. Walter put some basic information into an online application and was given his MEID.
I have a quick question. What is an MEID?
I'm so glad you asked. That is the username that you will use for every system here at the college. If you decide to attend any other Maricopa schools, your username and password won't change. I always recommend writing it down somewhere until you memorize it. I can give you a slip of paper and you can write it down and keep it in your wallet if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
When choosing his major, Walter knew he wanted to do something with computer programming. He also knew that he wanted to go to ASU to get his bachelor's degree. He chose to pursue an associate in science degree at MCC. Just as the new specialist told him, he did have to upload a picture of his driver's license that he took in just a few minutes using his smartphone.
Walter, you got through the admissions application. Great. Now that you've uploaded your photo online, our system will quickly determine if you're eligible for in-state tuition.
It looks like I am eligible.
Fantastic. That will save you a lot of money.
That was pretty easy.
Congratulations for applying to Mesa Community College. Now we move on to the next step, which is either to submit your high school transcript or you can take some placement tests so that we know which English, reading, and math classes you should take.
Okay, thank you for all your help.
No problem. Walter, you will need to take 3 tests in order to be fully admitted and registered. You will take an English, reading, and math test. This process takes a couple hours, so I strongly recommend you head there right away so that you can finish this testing process by the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
Walter headed over to the testing center to begin his reading, writing, and math AccuPlacer tests. He struggled a bit because it had been a year since he had done any math or English classes in high school. He had been a very good student in high school, but couldn't quite remember the concepts that were on the test.
Walter, congratulations on completing your test. If you can wait a few moments, I'll print your test results out for you. Once you get them, you can head back to the new student room and they'll show you how your test results impact what classes you should take.
Okay, I was pretty nervous, but I think I did okay.
The testing center employee handed Walter a sheet of paper that had his test results. Walter took a deep breath. He was a bit nervous to see if time away from school had hurt his scores. Based on this, the recommended course placement put him in classes that started with a 0 that would not count for college credit.
Are there any options for me if I feel like I didn't test too well this time?
Of course, you can come back and retest in 24 hours, but after that, you'll have to wait 3 months.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Walter, congratulations on finishing your admissions application. The next step now would be to take your placement tests. You'll take 3 different tests with reading, English, and math. However, we don't want to rush you into this, so we have some study materials available on our website. Are you interested in reviewing them?
I think that would be a good idea. Where do I go to look at that?
On this flyer, you'll see a link here in the upper left-hand corner. Type it in and you'll be good to go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Walter decided to go home and review the testing materials that the new student specialist recommended. He found out that on the MCC website there were sample questions that he could look at, plus another website where he could take a mock test and get personalized study materials on the areas he needed to work on. He decided to take a few days to look it over and then felt prepared for the test. Walter began his 30-second stroll to the testing center where he was greeted. He explained he was a new college student and needed to take his placement test. 1 hour and 35 minutes after showing the testing center employee his ID, Walter had finished his 3 tests. He felt good. It had been several months since his last academic exam, but he did not miss a beat. He felt confident because he took time to study. He knew he was meant to go to school and eventually graduate and provide for his family. It's all he ever wanted.
Congratulations, Walter, for finishing your test. How do you feel about it?
I felt pretty good. I think the study materials helped a lot.
Great. Well, take a look at this sheet of paper as it will show you all your scores. If you take it back to the new student welcome room, they'll go over it in detail and recommend courses for your first semester.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Walter put his paperwork together with a paperclip and took his steps back outside. He looked up at the sunny day and felt like he was so close to being where he needed to be. The clock tower began ringing across campus. Walter headed back over to the new student welcome room to show them that he had completed his testing.
Walter, congratulations on submitting the admissions application. Now the next step is to determine what courses you can place into. Did you graduate high school within the last 10 years?
I actually graduated a couple years ago.
Awesome. Do you remember what your cumulative GPA was?
If I recall, it's somewhere around a 3.0.
Okay, it is very likely that we'll be able to use your high school GPA to determine what initial English, reading, and math classes you can take. When you get a chance, secure a copy of your online transcript so that you can upload it through our online form on MESA's testing page. This will automatically update on your account and you should see these to-dos on your list disappear within a day or so.
Okay, so I might not have to test?
Let's have you submit your GPA first, and if you feel like you can bump up a course or two, you can always come back and take the test at a later date.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Walter, look at all you've accomplished this week. Now we can enroll you in new student orientation. We call it THOR. It stands for Thunderbird Orientation and Registration. This is the best part as you get to select your classes.
What do you do at orientation?
You'll learn all about being a student at Mesa Community College. You'll also meet with an academic advisor and they'll help you select your first semester's courses.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Good luck.
Thank you.
Walter was most of the way through reading the enrollment steps, but he had a question about his last step. He felt confident that he was on his way to his dream of college, but he had a big question: how to pay for it all. He asked the specialist about financial aid.
Hi, Walter. I know financial aid can be a bit overwhelming, but we're here to help. You mentioned that you're attending orientation tomorrow, where you'll be registering for classes. Since payment arrangements must be made immediately, and it takes a few business days for FAFSA to arrive, I would recommend setting up a payment plan through your student center immediately after registering tomorrow. It'll hold your classes until your financial aid is ready.
Okay, thank you for that information. I didn't want to get my schedule perfect just to have my classes drop for not paying in time.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about your financial aid. The first thing you'll need to do is create an FSA ID, or the Federal Student Aid Identification, at fsaid.ed.gov. You will use this to log into your financial aid application, which is called the FAFSA, or the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. We recommend that you complete this as soon as possible in order to make sure everything is set for your classes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Hey, Mom. I'm so excited. I went to Mesa Community College today, and I registered to become a student. I get to attend orientation tomorrow while I get to pick out my classes, and there's just a few things I might need your help with tonight. Can you sit down with me to go over the FAFSA after I get my FSA ID to get logged in?
Walter, I am so proud of you. Of course I can help.
Great, let's get to it.
She smiled and hugged him as happy tears rolled down her face. She had always wanted him to be the first to go to college, and he was very close to completing the final steps. They worked together that night to create an FSA ID for both of them. This would allow both Walter and his mom to sign the FAFSA electronically. Once their FSA IDs were created, the real work began. The FAFSA asked for both his and his mom's tax information from 2 years ago. Luckily, most of the information needed was able to be retrieved using the IRS data retrieval tool, which allowed the FAFSA to directly access the IRS database and electronically transfer all of the needed tax-related information to the FAFSA. The FAFSA took about 45 minutes to complete. If Walter had a question, there were helpful hints to reference on each page of the FAFSA. This guided him on what information was needed to complete each section. He also knew that if he needed help, he could go back to the enrollment center and ask there. In the end, Walter and his mom were confident they put in the correct information and were excited to move on to the next step. Walter now had time to budget and plan how he was going to pay his tuition, fees, and other educational expenses.
Hi, Walter. How do you think you're going to pay for college?
Hi, well, I do have some money saved up, so I guess I could use that.
In that case, you don't have to worry about filling out the FAFSA or getting an FSA ID, as you can always pay out of your own pocket. After registering tomorrow, go ahead and pay in full through your student center.
Okay, thank you.
Walter had heard that the FAFSA was complicated and that he didn't want to stress with completing it. He had enough money to pay tuition and fees for the fall semester, and he planned on continuing to work to help pay tuition and fees for the spring semester. He decided that he was going to hold off on completing the FAFSA for now. What Walter didn't realize was that the FAFSA was not as complicated as it used to be, and that it would only take about 45 minutes to complete. Walter didn't know that by completing the FAFSA, he could have qualified for grants and scholarships, which are free money. Financial aid can also be used to help pay for other education-related expenses, not just tuition and fees. This would have allowed him to work less and focus more on school. When spring semester came around, Walter hadn't saved enough money to pay for tuition and fees and ended up being dropped from his classes until he completed the FAFSA to help pay for the spring semester. The next day, Walter went back to the enrollment center to attend Thunderbird orientation and registration. He was led into a room with laptop computers and sat down to see the presentation. The presentation walked him through things he needed to know as a student. They talked about navigating campus, academic expectations, the importance of advising, and introduced him to the various systems he would be using as a student. They also talked about finances and the financial aid process. Walter was proud of the fact that he had completed the FAFSA and was even able to answer a question for another student in the session. After the presentation, an advisor came in to provide help registering for the first semester. Walter knew this was the pivotal moment. Once he registered, he would officially be a college student. The advisor walked Walter through understanding his test scores and recommended classes for the first semester.
Walter, college can be pretty stressful. If you have to work, you may not have all the time you need to dedicate to your classes, and we want you to do well. Since it's your first semester, we recommend that you only take 2 classes and see how you do. The next semester, you can add a few more. Enrolling part-time allows you to get about 6 credit hours and also be eligible for part-time financial aid, but you wouldn't get the full amount.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Walter took all of this under consideration and decided to take 2 classes. Walter logged into his student center and started searching for his classes. Most of the courses Walter was able to fit into his schedule. For one, his public speaking course, he knew he would probably need to rearrange his work schedule. He made a mental note to talk to his boss regarding his schedule, but knew how to change his classes if he needed to.
Walter, I'm glad you asked. Even though you're working, if you would like to graduate within a few years, we recommend you take 15 credit hours each semester. Requirements for full-time financial aid says you must take 12 credit hours each semester. Full-time can seem overwhelming, but there are plenty of help around campus to help you with time management skills.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Walter took this into consideration and decided to take 12 credits for his first semester. After talking with the advisor further, he felt this was a good compromise in balancing work with school while still helping him reach his goal. Walter logged into his student center and started searching for his classes. Most of the courses Walter was able to fit into his schedule. For one, his public speaking course, he knew he would probably need to rearrange his work schedule. He made a mental note to talk to his boss regarding his schedule, but knew how to change his classes if he needed to. Walter left the enrollment center with his class schedule printed out, a copy for himself and his mom in hand. While school was still a few weeks away, Walter knew there was no going back now. He was ready.